Ananya Narang is a part of Deal Advisory, mergers and acquisition at a Big Four consulting firm. She has graduated from Sriram College of Commerce with 9.86 CGPA, and she bagged All India 6th rank in CBSE 2019 and All India number 1 rank in CBSE 2017. In today's episode, let us talk to her about her LinkedIn content creation journey along with her first job experience and what is it studying at Sriram College of Commerce, Delhi University, etc. This is the Guiding Voice podcast series, the Guiding Voice for a Better Future. Friends, I am your host Naveen, Samala, just a fellow IT professional, but on a mission to shape the careers and lives of millions across the globe. Through the Guiding Voice, successful leaders and young, inspirational people like Ananya across the globe share their insights with the world, and our audience will acquire more knowledge and wisdom by tuning into the Guiding Voice per every minute than any other podcast in this space. Because we drive conversations that matter and conversations that add value to your life and to your career. Thank you so much for joining me. And we are extremely pleased to have Ananya part of our journey. And Ananya, hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice. Finally, we are here.
Oh, yes. After a long wait. Thank you so much for having me, Naveen. I'm hoping for great conversation today.
It will be awesome for sure. So, Ananya, without further ado, let's get into the interview. So, you have joined corporate after education in COVID. Like you spent 2 years of your college at home, right? And how did you land in your first job and what has been your experience? Honestly speaking, you didn't experience the entire college life, thoroughly. Because you were at home.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So normally in a normal scenario, people first pass out school, they go to college and then they join the job. But for us, for the batch of 2022 or 2023, it's more like you get into the job straight out of school. you don't get to experience the college. We just went to college, I think, for the first semester and the last semester. And it's the opening note and the closing note, and the middle is just spent at home. However, keeping my pains and sorrows aside, it's been a great journey till now. It's like when you get into the corporate world, you're supposed to behave a certain way. You're supposed to hold yourself in a certain way because you represent a big company, right? And there are a lot of responsibilities that are added on to you that you don't see coming when you're in your educational phase or when you're a student. When you're a student in college or let's say school, there are teachers running behind you, to attend classes, to not take leaves or, to submit assignments and everything. But once you join the corporate world or you start any work of your own, it's completely you. You are responsible for what you do. You are responsible to submit your assignments or your tasks. You can't take a leave without informing anybody. You have to take permissions either from your clients if you're an entrepreneur or from your boss if you're working in a startup or a corporate. So a lot of small things change, and these small things lead on to the bigger changes that we see in a person as a person evolves from just the study life to the corporate or work life and then further beyond. So there's a lot of experimentation that goes on.
Yeah, I can relate to that. And talking about the professional life, it's been a few months that you started your professional life. So how has been it so far? And what are top 3 things that have helped you or helping you to be successful?
So it's been very confusing. I won't lie, I won't sugarcoat. It's something, this phase is something that's very unpredictable, something that you didn't, every day something happens that you've never seen coming. You never expect it to happen. So it's like every time I step into the office, I don't know what today is going to be like or what responsibilities are going to be laid on my shoulder or how am I supposed to take care of everything that's coming up. But then I think that's the adventure of it. That's something that teaches you skills, so that teaches you your personality development in a way that's going to help you for like 50 years down the line. You never know what comes handy next. So that's one thing. Another thing that I'd like to say here is that the stages at which an early professional or in early 20s where you put in, they teach you so much and they take away so much from you. Like everybody right now or everybody in my friend circle is so confused with what they're doing. Everybody else, every second person is doing something completely else. Somebody's studying, somebody's preparing for exams, somebody's, working at a corporate, somebody's already a founder. And everything is happening so simultaneously with the people you used to hang out and drink coffee like a year ago. That's something you never expected to happen. So yeah, it's completely unpredictable. That's the word for it. And the three things that are helping, I won't say to be successful right now, because I don't think I'm that experienced enough to comment on that. But three things that are helping me survive right now would be, obviously, the ease with which you can talk to people. People are the pillars of everything. Everywhere you go, you're gonna meet people, and the ease with which you make friends is something that's gonna stay for you and that's gonna benefit you in like a very, very long term. I think the second thing would be your own confidence. I mean, there will be a lot of tasks which you won't know, a lot of things that you will do wrong. And it'll be very, very easy for somebody else to shake your confidence, and you'll be almost one step close to a breakdown. And that's when you need to know that you can do it, and you need to pick yourself up and walk on the path again. So that's one thing that can really, really change your game. And I think third thing would be, again, to have the ability to distinguish between your personal and professional life. Because, a lot of times I've also experienced it at a very early, early days of my career, that it happens a lot that something's gone bad at work, you bring it back home, and then you fight with people at home. And vice versa, right? You have a fight with your mother in the morning, and then you take it to the office, then you have a fight with your boss or your colleague, and that doesn't work out, because you just can't mix the two, and you need to understand that there's a line you need to draw. And that will not only help both the parties to stay sane, but also for your own mental peace and your own stability. So these three things are something that's, apart from all the technical skills, these are three things that can help you keep sane.
So ease with which you can talk to, confidence, and most importantly, distinguish personal and professional life. Yeah. I think third one makes more sense, because early stage people are confused and they try to try to balance their emotions, but it takes time in terms of distinguishing that and all, right? Makes sense. Now jumping to the core of today's topic, like you have about 54K followers on LinkedIn. What is the secret? What helped you so far?
So I started actively writing on LinkedIn like around November last year. So it's almost gonna be a year this month. I don't think that there's a secret sauce per se that you can, just sprinkle and go shooting up the sky. But then I think a few things that have really helped me is that at the very start of it, I didn't know what I was doing. That actually helped me out, because when I was writing initially, I think November, December, and January, LinkedIn was not a very much a content creator kind of a platform there at that time, and there weren't much people around. Just like you see nowadays, people, every other person just like posting stuff around. At that time, it was a very typical LinkedIn definition that was there, that it's a job searching platform and everything. And I hardly knew like 4-5 people who are creating content there. And I initially started not for the purpose of creating content, but because I just needed somewhere to go and, share something, to rant out about whatever was happening in my life, to seek help, to help. And there were 2 or 3 things that just propelled this emotion. First was COVID, because the social person in me was dying in COVID, and I just needed somebody to make friends with. And Instagram turned out to be like really, really creepy in that matter. So I just had to find another platform. And I've been very much into dramatics before. I've always been a creative person all my life. I've done National School of Drama. I've been a part of the Dramatic Society at my college. So there was a creative area always there waiting to be explored. And I was a little shy to do it on Instagram at first. So then I thought that none of my friends are on LinkedIn. So let's start with LinkedIn, because there's nobody who's going to judge. So that was how it started. And I realized something like a follower count exists when it was in January. And I just got a message from a brand community manager or somebody and asking me to do a promotional post for them or an ad. And I was like, why are you asking me? I'm like, I'm just a college student. How can I promote your brand? He's like, you have 10,000 followers on LinkedIn. Wait, can we check followers on LinkedIn? Do we have the concept of followers on LinkedIn? So that was when that guy taught me ki this is where your follower number shows, and I was like, okay, abhi tak to I was just doing it for the sake of it. I was doing it because I was having fun. I didn't know you could make something out of it. And that was one instant that actually changed the entire course of what I had in mind. I started to pay more attention to it because I could now meter my success. I didn't know earlier that you could meter it or there's a metric that you can identify. So everything then after that start falling into. I'm always open to making new friends, talking to people. So anybody, be it a colleague or a junior or a senior, anybody who texted me that they needed help in something, probably a resume review or something like that, I used to get on a call with them, have a little chat, maybe catch up with for a coffee or something. And that just built not a follower base, but a community of sorts. The initial 10 people I talked to when I joined LinkedIn, I'm still in touch with them today. And that's something that's been a really game changer because people know that you're approachable, and nobody wants to follow somebody who's not approachable, or nobody wants to connect with them. And I think that's I have had too long of a monologue, but yeah.
No, that's quite inspiring. In fact, yeah, people are making a lot of money, especially if you cross certain number of followers and all. They started endorsing, and in fact, I've seen a couple of them taking this as a full-time profession. Like once you cross certain benchmark of say 50,000 followers and all, they keep on endorsing brands apart from creating their own content and all. But I'm glad it is working for you. And especially one thing what I noticed is there is a lot of engagement on your posts. Like I've seen on the other side somebody with 100,000 followers, 200,000 followers, and they post something, but they'll hardly get 5 or 6 likes, or even if you look at the number of comments, right, that will be nominal. But in your case, at least there are a few hundreds of likes and so many comments and all. So that is the best part, as you said, being approachable and engaging with people. That might also be helping, and along with you being authentic, because I can sense that, because at least for the last 2-3 months since we are connected, right, I can see that you're truly authentic and also, which is really good. And now comes my next question. Like, how do you approach the content creation? Like, do you plan certain things saying that every day I need to post something, or weekly I need to publish these many topics and these many posts? And do you plan the topics beforehand, or is it something that happens on the fly?
Mm, um, I'd say I think it's a mix of both, right? I can plan that I'm gonna post, let's say, at least 4 times a week, or at least 3 times a week. That's all I can plan. But uh, if you can't think of a content piece, you just can't think of it. You can't help it, right? So there have been days, there have been weeks where I haven't posted anything because I couldn't think of anything. I couldn't find something. There was a creator's block. And I believe that whenever I'm posting something, that post has the potential to be the best post yet. And I just don't want to go out there and post just for the sake of posting and, then just come back after 2 days and regret what I've posted, or probably just, realize that I did this just for the sake of it. So I don't want to do that. And coming back to the technicalities of the question, I think, yes, nobody wants you to post forcefully or do anything forcefully, but then it is always good for you, or it always acts in a in your benefit if you post like 3 to 4 times a week at least, because people recognize you. Nobody want every person who sits in the audience, they value their follow button very, very much, right? They don't just want to click on anyone, just follow them, because they feel whenever you follow somebody, you feel a certain kind of emotional connect or a commitment to that person, or you feel that you're doing something for them. So nobody would like to do anything for you till the time they like you or till the time they think that you're providing value to them. So you have to earn that every single follow, and you can't do it when you're doing things just for the sake of it. So that's one thing. And second thing is that when people follow somebody, like even when you and I would follow somebody, we would not like to follow a person who just shows up once in a week, shares something, and then just disappears. We would want somebody who makes regular connect with us, who can give me something to read or something to cherish every single day. So that's about the consistency there. And that's when it counts, because people recognize your name. I don't remember the name of a person who posts like once a month, but I would definitely remember the name of a person whose post comes on my feed like at least once a day. Right. So that's where consistency changes the game. And as for the content of what to write, I mean, to be very honest, there's no playbook for me for that. It's like there was this one day I was traveling in the metro going to work. I just overheard two people talking about something. I was like, okay, this is something we can write about. This sounds exciting. And then I picked up 3-4 words from their conversation. I Googled them, see what's going on in the market about it. And then I researched through it. And then I realized, oh, this is something that everybody has been missing out, something that, something we can write about. There was this another day, I just saw a comment on somebody else's post about a person getting very worried about joining college, and they don't know what societies are good, what is not good. And I'm like, okay, people are commenting problems. Why not give them the solutions? The content would not come to you. You would have to look for it. And when you start looking for it, when you start observing, you can find it everywhere. And there will be definitely days when you just can't find content, no matter how much you look, no matter how much you read, scroll, watch, see, you just can't find it. And there's nothing you can do about it. All you have to do is just give yourself time. And when you can't find content outside, you'll find it inside. And that's what I've been believing in so far.
Yeah, sometimes what I do is, of course, I don't write so much. I normally prefer some crisp content related to some quotes that I resonate with, and some inspirational words, and all that is what goes part of my daily posting. But when it comes to certain posts, right, I tend to again look at some circumstances. Say if I found a gender neutral bathroom, the other day I posted about it, okay, because it resonated with my one of my conversations with a gender sensitization catalyst, okay, that LGBTQ sensitization catalyst, and I resonated with that's one of the questions which I asked. Why don't we have it? And likewise, I approached. So I think there is a kind of alignment there, and yeah, great. Thanks for sharing those insights, Ananya. Now let's talk about somebody who has inspired you. Like, did you follow someone on LinkedIn initially that inspired you to take it further, or has it happened just naturally?
I don't know if you'll find it weird or not, but I don't I'm not a fan kind. As in, I'm not a fan of anybody. I used to go to school and there were people talking about their favorite movie star, their favorite song. And like I don't even have a favorite color. so so I've been always unbiased in that sense, that I've never had any favorites. I don't love people whom I don't know, or I don't love artists. I love their art. So I don't have any people who inspire me. I have artworks or pieces of content which have inspired me. And in that case, what I do is I just copy the link, put it in my, I have a WhatsApp group with myself. So whatever content I like, I just paste the link there. And whenever I'm having a creator's block, I just reread what those people have written and what might have been their thought process while writing it. And I just try to duplicate something of that sort. And so there's no one person per se, but there have been a lot of artworks or pieces that have inspired me at different stages of life.
That's nice. So you love the art, but not the artist. Yeah, there are no favorites, and you are being unbiased. That's wonderful to know. And moving ahead, let's start.
Yeah, it's like you must have seen that. I don't know. When I was a kid, there were a lot of news around, some person or some artist or some movie star pretending to be something else, but then at back home there's something else. So that really stuck in my head. That's really stuck in my head, and I just feel like till the time I've not met the person, I can't fall in love with them. Can I? So I can only fall with what they show, and what they show is their art.
Fair enough. Moving ahead, let's talk about the don'ts on LinkedIn. What should we not do?
I think the number one thing here is that don't overcomplicate. A lot of people tend to overcomplicate stuff, or just because they want to create a hype or an overly not required grammatical presence on LinkedIn of that sort. Even if that's a phrase grammatically correct. But so you don't have to overcomplicate stuff. We just need stuff that people can relate to, stuff that people can absorb, stuff they can learn from. And in that, you don't have to use any kind of technical jargons. So that's number one. I think number two is obviously don't despair, right? Like we talked about it earlier. You can't just give hopes to people and then despair. So you can't ghost people there. People are dependent on you. So that's another thing. And I think third thing is that try to balance out. People who don't balance, or people always try to show the brighter side of things, and they want to just not talk about their failures, not talk about the hardships they're going through, not talk about the problems, some things they've done wrong. So showing a part of things and not the entire picture is something that people, they observe it, they're able to feel it, and they don't like it, because people want people who are honest, right? And if you're telling somebody that you're earning, let's say, 10 lakh rupees, and you're not telling them that you're putting in 15 hours of effort every single day, so that's not justice to your content. And not being authentic is something, the worst thing you can do.
Yep. So yeah, but LinkedIn is all about glorifying your profile and all. And the other day I was talking to some expert, and what he says is, you'll find all sorts of leaders on LinkedIn, but where is the performer? Even a person at the entry level, they say, I am leading this, that, and all. So likewise, there is a lot of overhype. Yeah, I can resonate with you. And many a times people don't talk about the hardships and some of the failures and all, because it should actually inspire others, because failure is common to everyone. It's not just that, okay, this guy is consistently or continuously experience success, one success after the other. But it is not true. Even in my case, it is not true. Like, I have gone through so many hardships to reach where I am. Right. Similarly, to pick up my next role, to pick up my to get my next promotion and all those things will not happen just like that. And yeah, it is better to be authentic. I think that's the key takeaway out of that.
But
Now,
there's
yeah,
another one thing, and
yeah,
I'd say there are always two sides of a coin, right? There's another contrasting outlook to this as well.
mm,
Is that, let's imagine a scenario when a person who's like, let's say, an AIR one per se, who's coming up and telling you how to score in your accountancy exam, right? And there's another person who, who had like 80% in their board exams, and then who's coming up and telling you how to score in an accountancy exam. So which one would you prefer more, or who would you like to go ahead with more? Obviously the one who scored AIR, right? And that's nothing wrong in that. It's a very natural tendency for people to fall for results, and somebody who's given results before, is we trust them to give results ahead also, and to just be true, even if in reality the tips of the person with 80% are more meaningful. We won't fall for them that easily, right? So
right,
title inflation is a part of the game, and but then you need to know that when it has to stop.
yeah,
It's important, because definitely till the time you don't talk about yourself to people, you don't tell them what you've done and why you're writing what you're writing, or why people should value what you're writing. People won't value it, right? People won't. If you don't tell them that you've done 10 things in your life, they won't rely on the 10 learnings that you're telling them in the next post, perhaps. So that's important, but then that doesn't mean that you'll just go on bragging about everything. It has to stop at a very decent level, and that's where you need to draw a line. And that's true from both the creators as well as the audience's side. So
yeah,
the people who are able to manage that, they rock the world.
right. Yeah, this reminds me of one point actually. Like, it's about uh, people should realize the potential of who you can be. It's not always about who you are. So sometimes, as you grow up in your career ladder and all, we start realizing certain leaders, right? They have that ability, innate ability to identify, okay, this is the one whom I can see at X level and all, right? So likewise, who can be should also be considered. It's not just about who you are always. All right, great conversation so far. And let's move ahead and talk about your college experience. What is it like studying at Sriram College of Commerce, one of the prestigious colleges in India, right? And how has been your experience?
Okay, that question hurts me, to be very honest, because I haven't been to college much. So you just pressed a nerve there.
Oh my God.
But then, till the time I've been there, the first semester and the last semester, and a few of the online classes, obviously. um, it's been a life-changing experience for me. Not because of the brand name or because of the huge infrastructure or because, I was a part of the North Campus. I used to like ride the metro every day and go to the campus, but because of the people I met there. Because SR has only two courses for undergrads. It's just Eco Honors and BCom Honors, and that makes the crowd very known to each other. So you know every second person who's walking into the college. You know what everybody's been up to. That's a good and bad thing both. But then you're very well aware of who's around you, and that just makes you more welcoming to new people in your life. When I went to college for the first time, I saw a lot of people who belonged from the LGBTQ community, who were from the backward classes, people who were not from Delhi or North India, people belonging from different cultures. And that is something very, very new for a person who's fresh out of school. In school, I never had a friend who could not speak Hindi. I never had a friend from Northeast. I never had a friend, from the LGBTQ community. But then once you enter college, you're exposed to so many people that you're overwhelmed at a time that, oh my God, I didn't know that these varieties of people exist. So that's something that changes your perspective towards life, that makes you more welcoming, that makes you more acceptable to being different and to accepting differences in different kind of peoples. So that thing, if you learn it, it can leave a very, very long term impact on your life. And I think more like a game changer. Perhaps you learn how to talk to people, you learn how to adjust yourself to what other people feel comfortable with. So yeah, that's something that SR has really, really changed in me, and something that I'm really, really grateful about.
Yeah, what I would say is you're getting exposure to diversity and diverse cultures at the same time, right? In that early stage, which will make you better prepared for rest of your life. So, which is kind of things which are rarely seen and all. And unless if you talk about other colleges and all, right? If somebody is graduating from other college, they may get exposed to this kind of thing only after entering into corporate, and that too may not for sure, right? Yeah,
And
makes sense. Yeah.
one more thing is that diversity in the form of opinions also, because everybody, thankfully, in SR, everybody was very confident to express what they think about different things. The entire atmosphere was so welcoming at the college that if somebody comes up and says anything against about, for example, anything racist or anything that's unethical, so there would be 10 people standing against him, even if they don't know the victim or they don't know anybody else, right? So the entire atmosphere is something that forces you to change and forces you to accept things, even when you're not doing it at home. So that's something that has changed a lot of people there, and something and has made you realize that there are something in life that you need to learn with time, and it has given the appropriate learning environment for any student who's not able to accept certain things, or who's not come from a background where we talk about these things. So giving a stage to talk about different things is something that SR has given to everybody. So that's another thing that's very, very respectable about it.
That's fantastic. So that's right. That's wonderful. And in fact, you guys are lucky to have that kind of environment and getting broad exposure at such an early stage and all, Ananya. Now, switching gears, and let's talk briefly about the challenges that the student community are facing today, right? And how can corporates help, or how can seasoned leaders like me or any of my peers can help, right? So, in general, what is your take?
I think one of the biggest challenges that we are facing is not being aware of the challenges. I mean, there are a lot of people from smaller colleges or from who are not in the metro cities. They don't know the potential of something they can do. I mean, I imagine I am born and brought up in Delhi, and I've had access to the one of the best education systems, and I've been in one of the best colleges. But I still have doubts about what I can do. I still have confusions about what are the potential fields I can explore. And I can't even begin to imagine that the level of confusions or the level of challenges a person who's not had access to all these would be having. So obviously spreading awareness about what are the potential things you can do is something that's very much needed, because India as an economy is rapidly evolving, right? There was this recent interview I read where the next decade has been labeled as the tech decade, right? And we just can't, be okay with the traditional things that have been going on in the education system. So that's something that's really required. And I think second thing that we can do is, we there was this recent notification from BITS Pilani that they've set up, they've allowed their students a year's holiday if they're building a startup or something like that. So these kind of initiatives is something that is really required in government colleges, or other smaller colleges as well, so that the entrepreneurs in those colleges, they don't feel threatened by the environment, and they feel very much supportive and welcoming. So giving birth to ideas and taking care of them is something that we really need to establish. And I think this podcast is again on the journey to do that. It's playing its role in spreading the awareness around it. And apart from all the other technical stuff that a lot of people already talk about with respect to the course curriculum, subjects, and everything, I think these two feelings of safety and security and acceptability is something that can very well impact how the next generation would think, and how we would react to certain circumstances. So that's, I think, the core of it. And subjects everybody can figure out on their own, but the support they can't figure out.
So if I were to summarize the first point, it's about we don't know what we don't know, and that is applicable everywhere, not just at the early career stage. It is got to do with access, not just access to the infrastructure as such, but it is more intrinsic, wherein we have to start reading more and all. That's how we will get to know what we don't know. And but you touched, or you hit the right card, I would say. And when it comes to the second point, the way things are evolving, right? One thing that I admire about BITS Pilani is their pedagogy is completely different compared to rest of the universities and all. In fact, I graduated from BITS as well. I did my masters, and I know like the kind of exposure that we get and the kind of subjects and everything. They think hatke, think differently, and it's more about giving the right exposure. They don't care about whether you are attending the classes or not. As long as you get the subject, that's fine. And these kind of steps, right, which will definitely encourage the student community as well. Because gone are the days wherein okay, you have to sit in the classroom and get that 80% attendance and make sure that you complete it within the stipulated time and all. Right? At least take a break. That's fine. You go experiment and come back. Right? I think that will definitely motivate students and all the young talent, young crowd out there to try out and experiment new things. And you brought in a wonderful point, and I'm amazed by your thought process, Ananya. I'm sure you will go places. You'll go places
Thank
for
you very
sure.
much.
Yeah. All right. So this has been fabulous conversation so far, but let's add some spice to the episode so that people get to know other side of Ananya.
For sure.
Okay, so let me fire the first bullet out of the rapid fire. I can answer them crisply, like a word or a phrase maximum. What was your childhood fantasy, Ananya?
I think it would be to order all flavors of ice cream at an ice cream parlor. I don't know. I'm very much. I love ice cream, and I just want to just once go into an ice cream parlor and order every single flavor that's present.
Did you try that already?
No, I didn't do that.
No, now that you're earning, probably you have to.
So it's like I don't like eating alone, right? So I just want somebody to accompany me to that challenge and have it do it with me. And I'm not able to find that somebody until now.
I participated in this Baskin Robbins contest. Actually, we went along with a couple of my colleagues, and they asked us to eat a scoop of ice cream in 1 minute, and I was able to do it in 30 seconds. But I suffered for 3 days. It's not that easy.
I'm an ice cream lover. Like anything goes wrong in my life, ice cream is the solution. Right. So I can eat like N amount of ice cream in N amount of time.
So that makes you sane. That brings back, right? All right. Moving ahead. What is the worst piece of advice that you received so far?
It was, I would say, people don't talk to people. Like, don't talk to people you don't know. So, like, you go to school and your family and your teachers teach you don't talk to people you don't know. It can be dangerous, and that has never worked out.
It's not going to work out. It is not going to work out for sure. I'm sure this is the worst one. Yeah. Can you describe yourself in just one word?
And I mean special. So yeah, I'll go with special. Not, yeah, I mean,
Indeed.
different. I like
Indeed.
everything different. I want to be different.
Yeah. Moving on. If you were to live on another planet, what would it be?
I think that would be, let's see. I don't know now. I mean, what was your thought process in putting in this question? Like, are you Elon Musk speaker or something? Like, what? Why?
just
Why?
to unleash your thought process and make sure, okay, how far people could think of, right? There should be reasoning. If you say Neptune, if you say Mars, there should be a reason. So I'm more curious about what would be the reason for not being on Earth and search elsewhere.
Yeah, so I think that would be Saturn, because I think Saturn has like a lot of moons and I like moons. Probably I could just when you asked the question, my mind just went into imagining how universe looks like, and I could imagine people like sliding down the rings of Saturn, and like, okay, that sounds like fun.
Interesting. Moving ahead. If you were to date any celebrity, who would it be?
Oh, I told you I don't have any favorites, yeah, but I think, who would that be? I think I'd rather want people to take my name when this question is being asked to them.
High five. Awesome. Moving ahead. If you have a magic wand, what would you do with it?
I think I'd first try to find somebody who'd like to do the ice cream challenge with me, because I've been waiting for that person for like quite a long time.
Come over to Hyderabad. Come over to Hyderabad.
Done for sure.
All right. So let me find the last one. What is one electronic gadget that you would like to see or invent yourself, Ananya?
So, it's something very, very, I don't know if it would make logical sense to everybody hearing it or not. But whenever I'm like sleeping or before sleeping, I always try to read a book or something, right? And I'm just too lazy to hold the book in my hands and lie down like that. So I've always imagined of having a gear that I can wear on my head and the book pages can keep turning on their own. So probably that's something that I'd be the first buyer of.
Creative. You are different. You are different. Guys, here is a wonderful startup idea. TGV community, hope you are watching and listening. Pay attention to that. A gadget which can flip the pages automatically, can hold the book. Wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, it's too much effort to like hold your book like that and then turn the pages, because you can't even hold it with one hand because the book will like fold back. And like, okay, we just need something.
Funny one, yeah. All right. So that was great rapid fire. And with that, let's flip back to the mainstream. And before I let you go, one final question for today's conversation, Ananya. What will be your single piece of advice to people from not so people who lack access to everything that we have, at least, right? People in metro cities and all, we have so much of infrastructure, access to people and all. If you were to consider somebody from tier 2, 3, 4 towns and all, what will be your advice for them to succeed in career?
I would say, I'm not sure if it's just like one piece of advice, but or a mix of many pieces.
Absolutely, go ahead.
But it'll be like, first, find reasons and not excuses, right? Because after the geo revolution and everybody having a smartphone, you can literally have access to everything, right? So you just can't say that you didn't know about it. I mean, it's sort of contrary to what I said earlier, but then you have to take responsibility of your own, and the earlier you take it, the more beneficial it will be. So you don't you have to find reasons to do something. And I know it sounds very fancy when I say it, and it's very hard to implement, but trust me, I'm myself struggling to accept it and struggling to implement it myself. So, and I've seen the changes when I've implemented it. So that's one. I think the second thing would be to not be afraid. I mean, again, it's another fancy advice, but then it's not just about not being afraid in taking a big career change or a job switch. That those are the bigger things we're talking about. But to not be afraid in small things as well, to not be afraid to say hi to the person sitting next to you, to not be afraid to just text an old friend, to not be afraid to shoot out your first post on LinkedIn, to not be afraid to ask a question in a class, to not be afraid to just ask for help. So when you not be afraid in these small things, the bigger changes compound and happen, and you don't even realize it. So that's another thing. And the third thing I would say is that while we've talked about career, passion, going here, going there, doing this, doing that, just don't forget to be where you are, or to cherish what you're doing, or to have fun, right? I have scored marks in school, but there's nothing that I haven't done. Every other day I got scolded by my teachers. There were teachers like, who didn't think I was the best child, and I'm okay with that. And now those teachers come back and say, "Ki, we loved having you in the class." So the point is, try to not have any regrets in terms of career, in terms of life, in terms of having fun, in terms of experimenting, because I personally can live with anything but regrets. So when I look back at my life, I've made a lot of bad decisions, but I don't regret any of them, because that was what I want. That was what I wanted at that time. And don't let anybody have the power to influence your decision. Because when you lose control of your decisions, that's when you start blaming someone else. And when you blame someone else, you find an excuse to not rework what you did wrong. Because let's say I just marry somebody tomorrow, when if my parents ask me to, and if it doesn't work out later, I can just like come back and say, you were the one who forced me to marry, and falana dimkana, and they're like, okay, and they'll also accept ki it's our fault, we're sorry. And you don't realize it, that maybe you were at fault somewhere. But if I married the guy who I like, and then it didn't work out, then I would know that it was my responsibility, or there was something that I did wrong. So if you want to take responsibility of your life, first take power of your decisions. I think, again, a long monologue, but yeah, crux of it.
No, wonderful insights, and I'm sure these are going to benefit the rest of the community for sure, because these are very powerful insights, I would say. And thank you so much, Ananya. I really enjoyed every bit of this conversation, and I felt energetic after talking to you. your, your passion is really contagious. Very good.
So one thing before we log off, Naveen, there's like a few questions that I have for you. Like, you've been asking
Absolutely.
rapid fire to everybody there. Now it's your turn to be in the courtroom.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think my first question would be like, you've done so many interviews here, and you've had so many guests over. So what was the best part or best section of any particular interview or any segment that you really liked? And what was the worst one?
Okay, so when it comes to the best conversation that I had, it was for one of the milestone episodes. I hosted a girl, 17-year-old girl. She was surviving. She was a SMA2 survivor, spinal muscular atrophy. Okay, atrophy, yeah, if I remember it correctly. And she was interviewed lying on a bed, and I was amazed by the kind of passion she has to be on my show, to share what she wanted to share with rest of the world and all. So that is one of the best experience. And her name is Hansika Tyagi. Unfortunately, she passed away a few months ago. And in this process, I would like to disclose one thing. We are launching our first book, okay, from the TGV, which is going to feature 22 people in the volume one. And we are dedicating that book to Hansika Tyagi, because the passion she has demonstrated during the conversation and all, it made me almost tears rolled in my eyes out of happiness because she was sharing some wonderful insights. And if possible, please do listen to that episode. Okay, Hansika Tyagi. And when it comes to us, I don't want to name anybody, but we call them for a purpose. And one of the guests, right, she was trying to sell something related to spirituality and all. No matter what question I asked, ultimately linking back to spirituality and all. If you remember, in the schools and colleges, if somebody asks to write essay writing, right? If you're so keen about writing about cow and all, you relate to cow. Say, I was okay. No matter what topic is given to you, still tied back to the cow. I'll tell you one example. Like you're trying, you're traveling by a flight, and what the topic is given as flight or aeroplane. Okay, the way this person narrates is, okay, I got into the aeroplane and I was traveling from Mumbai to Delhi. And while I was peeping through the window, I saw a cow. Cow has four legs and a tail. Likewise, I keep talking about cow. So that was a kind of experience. And we come across these kind of speakers at times and all. And we try to balance that. But that's why I've been preparing well for these kind of conversations and all. And we ask them to share the topic. And in most cases, I instruct them before the interview, please try to confine it and make sure that you do not exceed so and so time and all. So that is the worst experience, not digressing away from the topic and covering something purely irrelevant, which doesn't make sense to my community. All right. So yeah, any other questions?
Let's give your answer the award of the best answer of the session then.
All right. By the way, Hansika's episode is 225. Okay. And I've invited for the milestone. Typically, I go behind chasing somebody to CXO level for the milestone episodes. But that time, when I got to know about her story through a common friend, I thought, no, she has to be my 225. That's how it happened.
Oh, wow. I mean, I'm definitely going to go back and hear that one now.
Yeah.
I'm like super, super inspired now.
Cool. So is there anything else that you want to know from me, Ananya?
I think there's a lot, but that might like take another entire episode of yours. So let's just keep those questions for whenever I visit Hyderabad next.
Absolutely. I'm always open. And I'm going to invite you to TGV Hindi shortly. So stay tuned. All right. So
For sure.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me, Naveen. I mean, it was a pleasure to talk to you. And I'm sure whatever fun, whatever insights we discuss in the conversation, they're going to help a lot of people out there. And I think both of us, you and me, we're always available to help people. And yeah, it's life. Yeah, chill and have fun.
High five.
High five.
High five. All right. Thank you. And yeah, let's catch on the flip side then. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Folks, before we move into the trivia section, here is a request to you. In case if you haven't subscribed to us or if you are not following us already, please subscribe to us and follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you are listening or watching this. And in addition to that, if possible, please provide a review or rating so that we can use that boost to reach wider and wider audience. And if you have loved this conversation with young, talented individual Ananya and found the episode useful, request you to share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who can benefit from the guiding voice. Thank you so much in advance. Now, let's hop into the trivia segment of today's episode. So today we had a brief discussion about college life. So I thought I'll present you few facts about oldest universities in the world. And today's trivia is about first and oldest university in the world. The first and oldest university in the world was established in Taxila, and it is also called as Takshashila, in between 600 to 500 BC, and there were about 68 subjects to study. Nalanda University was the first university in the world to have accommodation quarters for both students and teachers. And Nalanda University was originally established during the Gupta dynasty, as mentioned in the writing of Chinese pilgrim Huan Sang. Many Buddhists used to teach at the university as it had a great influence of Buddhism. In fact, 11th President of India, late APJ Abdul Kalam, proposed the idea of reviving the first University of India in 2006 and started its first academic session on September 1st, 2014, with about 15 students in a temporary base in Rajgir, Bihar state of India. In fact, the former Minister of Singapore, George Yeo, took the charge of Nalanda University as the new Vice Chancellor on July 6th, 2015. So that's all about Nalanda University. And folks, if you have any topic recommendations or guest speaker suggestions, please feel free to reach out to me through social media or email us at theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com. I'm your host, Naveen Samala, just a fellow IT professional and a passionate learner on a mission to make a difference in the careers and lives of millions across the globe. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, bye bye. See you all in the next episode with another wonderful guest.